Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. How are you today? Today I'm going to show you on tutorial. I think I will do a couple video. Everything just not can become complete in one video. But so first thing I want to introduce to you what we are going to do in this series. The first thing we need to create a new API using Golang and GraphQL, and we use a GraphQL generate to generate our API, and we use a MySQL for store and Redis database for caching layer, and we also deploy into DigitalOcean VPN. You use Ubuntu and with Docker and deploy. And we can use Nginx for load balancing, and you may have lots of instance of service. For example, in Docker file, I will introduce you later. For example, we have a server and running on port A0 and MySQL and Redis, and you may have a server one. You may have a server one, and so we can copy that and into another server, and we may have a multiple instance on this API, and we can use an Nginx for load balancing. But so later I will do it in the next video, and today just getting started. So the first thing I'm going to use a GraphQL generate. Before start, this is a tutorial about the Golang. You must check out the Golang and Golang.org, and you have to download the package and install on your computer. And I'm on macOS, and I did install it. And I also install MySQL on my local machine. So if you don't have a Z technology installed, you must download it and install it. It's easy in it, and it's available for document on internet. You can search and do it. Okay, so I'm going to get it installed. The first thing we need to create a new directory, and I'm going to open up my terminal and change to desktop. Okay, so I'm going to create a new DEP. DEP is my name of my group, and we are working. So now cd DEP. This is name. You can name whatever. And now we can go in init. This is we are going to initialize a new Go model, and I'm not going to use a GitHub, so simply I'm going to go mode init, which name is DEP. Okay, right. So we have a Go pretty new Go model DEP. Okay, and then we do have to create sample GraphQL. Now I'm going to open this on my terminal, and I'm going to open up my EDA. This Golang, and I think this is the best idea for Go development. So I'm going to open a new directory and DHP, and this is an empty project. Okay, so now I am going to create a new file. Okay, and enable Go. Okay, I'm going to create a schema.graphql new file. No, it's not Go file, it's a GraphQL read file. And inside GraphQL, we have to define our schema. So work with GraphQL generate, you must define our schema first. Let's copy that. Should copy type query, and type mutation. Mutation and query this most popular concept in GraphQL. So query it let's see query it is the same like a get, and let's see the mutation is same like a port in our REST API, but in both mutation and query in GraphQL they are using port method, but I will do a React client query in the next video. But for now, we have something like get a list of user, and we return the user, return a list of user model. Okay, and create a new user, and we have input a new user and return user model. But we don't have any user model first, so I do think we try user. The user we do have, and we have a new user. User because it's input, so we have to define it as input new user. Okay, so as user it has ID. It should be ID. ID is not known. And the first name is string, not known. It's not known. And this is nullable, and this is not known. Last name, it be string, not known. Also email, string, not known. And created as it's the time when user create. I'm using the integer because we have a connect to Redis database later for catching. I'm not going to use a time. In GraphQL we do have a time, but now I'm using integer in you need time and update as int. Okay, so we have a user model in Graph, and also we do have a create user. So when do you create user, we do have a two. First we have a two first name string and last name to be string, not known. And we have an email string as well. We have a password. When we have create user, we have a password string. It's string. Okay. Okay, so let's just first I think this is enough for now, and we next move on next thing. It go run init. Okay, let's copy that command and run inside terminal, and make sure you are within inside the project and our desktop and DAP, and root out the project. Let it kill this command and run, copy and enter it. I hope everything goes well. Okay, so it's something good, and it's we generate a server side server, and it also generate resolver. We will talking about resolver in next minute, and now I'm going to start the go run. We run server.go, server directory server.go, and now run on 8080. So if you want to custom the port, so we can change it, the port in change on default port. For example, 30,003, for example 30,003, and run again server, and now you can see the localhost run on server side. But I want to make a custom. For example, I will create a new file run.sh is we can do it go runs server.go, and now do not forget schema to be accessible by run.sh. Now we can run directly run.sh. Now we start local development and it worked. And now I'm going to show you how to define environment variable in Go, and we can do a port equal, for example, 3003. And now in server we can do it by cost default equal, okay, so port, yes, environment, we can remove it. Get port. Now port is getting name the key port, and now I'm going to run again, run short at 8. So just the port is the 3003 and it's working. And now I'm going to change 3004 and run again server. It should be 2004. So it will be flexible, and we can change the variable in the Docker configuration later. For now, let's keep it in run.sh, and we can access the port by os.getEnvironment port. Okay, so the server is running. Let's click on it, and you can see we do have a GraphQL. I am going to introduce you. For example, we will query getting all the user, and we have a user and return the first name and last name and email, and we may have an ID and created ads, update ad. But now if I hit enter, the server side will return an error because we didn't handle in our, for example, user list, so it will be panic. It will stop this, stop and return an error, not implement. Now let's try. Hit side, and you have internal system error because we didn't handle it. But for now, I'm going to handle. For example, return new with an array empty and new, no error. And again, I'm stop server by hit Control C on my computer, and again I'm go to run.sh again and restart the server in local development mode. And now let's hit again. Now you should see an empty array. For now, that means we don't have any user. Okay, so by default, the user, when we define a type user, and the GraphQL generate is automatically generate our model. For example, you can see the type struct and with ID and first name and last name and email, and created and update it in struct. So for now, let's try to return some user random. For example, var return, it should be an array of star user, and it's same like a C++. You may familiar with C++. Star, this meaning a pointer. It's we pointer to memory. It's a memory of the object user. So this is a memory address. It's same like a C++. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new user one. For example, u1 user one. It equal, we can init a new variable and ampersand and user. We init a new object, a user object, and return it as a memory address. Uh, okay, for example, ID equal 1, first name. Okay, so in GraphQL by default the ID it to be a string, So I will introduce how we fix it in integer later. First name, for example, my name, last name. Okay, when, and we may have an email address. .io, okay, and created as, for example, and return 0 for now, and update at return 0 for now. And we are going to appending a new user to a return, and that means we can return res and new. New is a no error. For example, now we red equal append res user 1. Okay, now I'm going to stop server and restart server. We should see a new user arrays of a user. So this is really useful. For now, let's try debug on the GraphQL, and you can able, for example, typing it's autocomplete very created that and updated. You can see in GraphQL very useful and powerful, I think. Okay, so you can copy another user, and user number 2 with ID number 2, 2. Okay, something like that, and we can copy it. Run user 2, and now restart the server and run again. We hit run. Okay, this one we got. Now we got 2 user in our rise of the list return in our mutation. Again, for now, okay, so the same thing for a mutation, create user. And for now, create user with the input to be an object that's a map. For example, first name, done, last name, Nguyen. Okay, and we have an email and title, and her password is required, for example, admin, and we return exactly ID and first name, last name. For example, we only want to return a 3 thing. Now I'm hitting create user. We should see an error because in our resolver we didn't implement create user. So now let's try to hit create user. Now we should see system error. Okay, so to implement this, we need to insert into our database. For example, we initialize user equal new object of user model, and we have a first name to be input. This input from our parameter argument, and first name dot first name, because you know in the model generate the input it also is automatically generated by GraphQL then, so it's same for user, but we don't have to rewrite again because this will be rewrite. Don't modify anything in model zen.go. Okay, so in return we have for setting for last name, input dot last name, and again for email we have input dot email and password. Okay, we don't have a password because we didn't implement the path grid in user. So how do we have a path grid? This is a question. And in GraphQL generate, we can override our model. So let's scroll down the bottom. You can copy this model and we're going to modify it in GraphQL zen.jam file. Okay, so let's see its the model and to do. In this case, we have a user and model. We are not going to use a GitHub. It's our name of DHP dot user. This is the name of our project, the package, and the user is a user. It should be same. Okay, so now this means we do have to override it. And we can create a new file. It should be a user.go, and we can define ourselves type user struct. Now it's saying an error because it duplicate, because in our model we have a user. So I'm going to copy that in user, and we can override it by define new path word. It should be a string and JSON. Okay, so now I'm going to run generate again, but run the generate again, it can be a very long command. So I'm going to decided to create a custom, for example, zen.sh. So the generate.sh, it should be same thing again. Go run again. And now let's close this file, and don't forget csmos u and accessible runs zen.sh. Okay, now we are going to run zen.sh again. Now it will be going to regenerate. Oh, so we have a couple issue. Now I'm going to remove this, and again run again. Okay, so because when we do regenerate, the resolver never regenerate. So that is the problem. So how we can make a resolver change? So I mentioned it in my Medium post, and I'm going to publish it should be later. So when we can generate, for now, if we delete this file, we will losing everything we did in our resolver. So that is why I'm going to copy this file to another file. For example, let's copy the move resolver file to resolver.o, and we can run this file, run generate again, and we can copy again resolver to resolver name, and then we just need to merge this file. So I'm going to copy this, and to save time in our generate, in our should be zen.sh. Okay, so now we move the file, move resolver file into resolver O. So GraphQL then will know, oh no, we don't have any resolver file generate, so it will be regenerate resolver file, and then we can copy it. Okay, now let's try again, run it then. Okay, so now you should see two new files, which is resolver new. This is a new of resolver file, and this is the old file. We have an old file, and we have a current file we are working, and keep the file the same thing, and we don't losing everything. And now let's try to take a look at model Zen. Now you don't see any user model in the model generate because we did override it in the file. We have override model user in the model and name of the package DSP and user. This means let's talk to the GraphQL and hey GraphQL, do not generate a model user because it already defined in the project. So the GraphQL will generate, you know, oh, okay, it exists. So don't do need to duplicate that file. So we have a user go, and now we can implement path grid. Yeah, path grid can go into input.path grid. Okay, and we can do handle user and save it to our database and getting ID and return. We can return user and nil. For now, let's try to run server again and see. And now I'm going to run the mutation, create user. So you should see a name and an ID, so it's empty. Okay, one more time, I want to change my ID to integer because we are going to use MySQL. So every ID is to be auto increment, should be an integer. So let's take a look at the documentation. Scroll down a bit. I do think it should have an ID. Okay, let's ID. And so let's take a look at, it should be a schema. Okay, so don't mention everything. Fine. In ski directory, let's see, it doesn't exist. So I'm going to take a look at somewhere. It should have a document. Okay, upload file and field collect and resolver and get install. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at the GitHub file. I know it's somewhere, and we have an ID and show. It should be something. Okay, so that's where is the ID, the generate model, and to be ID to be integer. We need to override every ID to integer. So let's take a look at somewhere in the GitHub. I think you should have a mention about. Okay, so in the GitHub. Okay, so I got it. I got it. User ID should be a integer. Integer. So let's copy that. It's a model and should be copy ID. And we overwrite in our YAML file ID, the model. We are not going to string, we are going to generate. And now stop server side and going to run Zen as it again. Okay, so now it should work, and a user now to be we can define it to in 64 and which is bigger than integer in 64 bit. Okay, so now let's take a look at user. Now it's not to be a string, it should be an integer. Okay, again 2. Now I'm going to run server side again, run server again. Okay, server is not in root field. Let's see what happened right here. Okay, so let's take a look at resolver.go.new. Let's see receiver.id. Okay, let's copy that resolver, and let's take a look at our resolver. We don't have a user resolver, so let's copy it from a new, because we don't have a type of user resolver. Let's copy that into our resolver, one thing, and copy again for user resolver. Okay, so it did enough, and I will show you how a really cool feature from Golang. Now let we copy for something new in our user, and I'm going to click on it, implement method. Golang will be automatically implement the method we are missing. So because it's in isolated integer, because in user we have an ID is to be integers in 64, but in our GraphQL we marked it to be an integer. So we do have to implement return a different type of different types of the user ID. So for now, let's implement that. In return, we convert from int city into object.id, and we return no error. So it should be fine. And now I'm going to start again server. Now server is running and without any problem. Now we can get a user list. We can create a user. Oh, it's okay. But what happened if I can remove the file and we don't have a user resolver? And it should be an error, but now I'm going to run again. You should have an error. Okay, so what's happened if we change the int to int, just integer. Now I'm going to again run zen.h. We are going to generate everything. And now we can go ahead to run.sh without any problem, because we have the same type in our GraphQL of integer, and in the model we have integer, so it's working really fine. Okay, now it works. So now I'm going to move on next part. It will be an interesting that is we are going to integrate our database. For now, I'm going to open up my SQL workbench. You can use a PHP admin, anything tool you can familiar with it. Let's go with it. For now, I have my SQL workbench on my Mac OS, so I'm using it. Now I'm going to create a new model. I'm going to design a new model. For example, I'm going to name the model is the MyDB to be, for example, tutorial. For example, tutorial, and I'm going to change the database to NUTH MB4 bin. Okay, now rename reference. Okay, now database change to tutorial, and now I am going to add new diagram, and we are going to design a new table. For example, we're going to design a table user, and to be an user ID, it should be an int, and it should be auto increment, and should be unsigned, and it should be not known. Okay, so you have a user first name. We design a name should be matching everything in our in our user model, we have a ID, first name, last name, email, and passwords, update at, and created at. So we first name and last name should be varchar, and the thing should be not new. And we can default empty string by default. Last name and email, it should be not new. Okay, and we can make a default string like that, and the last name, email. So I think email, it should be not new. And password, it should be, we increment a bit to 255, because we may implement an encode the password and make the password more security. So for now, I'm just saving a plain text password to user, but we need to implement it in our real project. We need to implement it to encode the project, and we have a created at. We can use a timestamp, but in this project, I'm going to use in not new, and update that to be int, and default is 0 and 0. Okay, so it is enough for user table, and now I'm going to forward this file. First thing, I'm going to save that for DHP and schema design. Yeah, okay, I'm saving this file, and now I'm going to forward it. Okay, so we need to forward this database into engineer. Okay, let's select a localhost to local and go into make the passwords and root and continue. And we can drop and generate schema. Okay, my passwords are user. Okay, so it's done without any error. Now I'm going to log in my local, and we should see a new database. Should see an okay. Again, I'm sorry. Where we should see an now co-op query, and we do see a tutorial right here, and we see only user table. Okay, and we don't see any user in the list. It's empty. Okay, I think I'm going to change the change this a little bit to generate to line, and you can see it's better in my tutorial. So here we select every user from the user table, and now it's nothing, it's empty. Okay, so I'm going to implement we do saver. The third thing, we do need create a new file. We think about Golang Mysql driver. You can search this and on Google, and you should see this driver file, and we should follow up this database. Okay, username, hardware. Okay, so now I'm going to make a new database file, database.go, and we can do like this. Okay, so we do type database struct and db. I think it's simply like this. You can make it like this. db go add ql. We need to import the go get file, and we do need to import this import, and we do have to getting file by go get. Let's copy that in our terminal. I'm going to stop my server and go get go. Okay, so one again, it's work and SQL.db. Okay, so I'm going to make a new function, new database, and function, and we're going to see db and open MySQL. Let's copy that for fast. And db and errors. If errors equal not nil, this meaning we can't connect to a database, so we can panic error. Okay, now we db and open, and var db should be at ql.db. Okay, and here we can assign this db equal, and we are not going to db, and we are going db equal db. Okay, we assign a variable. This is a global variable. We can accept every file in the project. Let's change a little bit in the URL file. So in the URL file, now I'm going to take a look at my medium ports, and I'm going to check about this is my query. So I'm going to copy that file, and we can change a little bit. So we can change it by MySQL, and we can get it by os.getEnvironment key MySQL. Okay, MySQL URL. And where do we define MySQL URL? Let's see about when we go run.s, and we can export this file. Export MySQL URL equal. Okay, it worked. And now let's take a look at running file. Should be have a new query ratified. Let's change a bit. My localhost, MySQL root and localhost IP address to be like this, and port of default of my and db into tutorial. Okay, so past time true and SQL mutation. This is the default. I don't want to change it. Okay, so let's save a file. In our database, we getting environment key MySQL URL, actually getting this URL. We can pass it into this, but it's very hard to change because we may change the password of database later. But when we compile it Golang, it's want to go to the binary file, so we don't change it. We can't change it. So that is the why we can keep it dynamic, and we can change it in our Docker. And later, for now, it's running on my development mode, so I can change it on my run.sh. But for later, we can change it in our Docker. Okay, so we got a good, and we can connect. So in our server side, we can start it by command star connect database. But we can call it new database. Okay, so it Golang automatically autocomplete name of package we imported, and new database we actually go to this function. Okay, and if we getting any error, we stop the app, and we can padding the global value variable into DB. Okay, so that is how we can connect to database, and this means when we create a new user and check into resolver. Let's something mutation. Why do you have a mutation? Query resolver. Okay, let's try run again. Oh my god, what happened? Okay, let's again change a server DIP. Okay, what's happened? Try query resolver. We got a resolver too, but it's a very way, so need to delete this file. We need to delete this. Okay, so I don't know why we duplicate resolver 2. Now I'm going to clear and run .ads again. So the server is running, but now I'm hitting let's save a file that create user, but in our database we have nothing because we didn't implement insert a new user to database. Okay, so for now let's try to do create user, and here we can create. For now I will go into comment, I will insert directly in our database. For example, we can do like this. DB, this is a global database. You can query insert into a table user value should be field. For example, first name, last name, email, and password. I'm sorry. First name, last name, emails, passwords, and email password. Let's see in our database. We can see first, last, email, passwords created as and updated as. Created as, updates as. Value. The value we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to pass a parameter right here. For example, we can do it. We can move to bottom, and we can now let's pass argument user does first name user does. We can change variable to u. It should be much better for source writing. When u dot first name, u dot last name, u dot email, u dot password, u dot created as. Now u dot create and u dot update as. Okay, so u dot created as, it will be time dot now dot units. It to be in city. So we need to convert this. For example, now equal, and we need to convert this into in integer with now, and update that to be now again. For example, update that degree, or is same for within default 0. Okay, so you dot update that, you dot create that, and db dot execute, not insert. And when execute, we do have a return a two parameter, the results and errors. We check it if errors not equal nil, that means something happened. We need to return nil, return nothing to user and with error. And all the while we do id error equal results dot slash insert id, and if errors is not nil again, we can return nil and error. And otherwise we can user.id equal last insert id, should be a last id to be last id. Okay. This should be a int64. We need to convert it into integer. Alright, so this is a really cool feature from Golang, you see here. And now I'm going to run again server side and now see what happened. Now we're going to create a new user. Okay, it's returned 1. Now let's verify if it worked. And going to Mysql and select again and hit enter. You can execute. I'm sorry. Execute. It should be this button, and you can see the password. As I said, we do need to implement decode it, encode it password, and it's a timestamp and update stamp. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so in design, I forgot a problem. We need to design this email. It should be units. So email field should be units. Okay, now I'm save that file, and I'm going to forward again by his database command Z and forward again. Now we forward again, and I'm going to check the drop schema. It's meaning we'll drop our schema, drop our database, and again we can do it for just for development. You don't do it, but now I'm going to refresh it. Everything in database is lost, and now I'm going to create a user again, and let's see. And now if I going to create another user, you should see email is a WK, because email we design it should be a unit. Okay, so we return email and create that, update that. Now I'm going to change by my name 1. Okay, create a user. Now it should work, and again should be an error. So this is the why we how we can implement create a new user into our database. And this is the working, very cool thing. And now how do we implement select user? Okay, one thing I'm forgetting. So we do this is the bad thing. It worked, but it's the bad thing implement query directly into. So instead of that, I am going to make a new function user now it's created and should be return arrow. This function should be return arrow, and so I will explain why this function. This function is seem like this, and then in our resolver we can call it user.created. Okay, and we can return we can user error equal user.created. and that means we can have a user function. If you have worked with the C or C++, you can see a class like this, class user, and we have a, for example, we have a uh, private string name, and we do have a public function created void for example, void created, and then we initialize user, and we can call user dot create that. This is the same, but the same thing in C++. So in Go, we don't have a class concept, but you can do a kind of class very well, like struct and interface. You go handle this very cool. I like it, and this means we can call user can call a u.created function. And now we are going to copy that. We can copy this into our user. And now if error is caught not new, we can only return error, because we in our function we return only one parameter, and not new, we return error again, and okay, we return nil. That's okay. So we have a function create user, and in resolver we can call user dot error. If errors is not nil, it means something wrong, return nothing, and errors to user, and otherwise we return a user nil. Now I'm going to restart again server and see verify it works. Now I'm going to create a user, should be WK, because I'm going to change this. Now user.3, it's because we only validate email. Okay, so we have ID. Now let's take a look. In tutorial user we got 1, 3, 6. Okay, let's see what. Okay, so let's see that we don't see. And now we need to implement loading user. So loading user, I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to create a new function in user. For example, function find gets all user, and this function should be return an array of user and error. Let's see, say again, for start, this means address pointer into the user object in memory. And for example, we can do var results equal an array of user, and we can return results and new. Okay, now let's copy the function name and go to resolver dot there. We can return. Now we're going to return get our user. It should same return. Okay, now I'm going to restart the server and see create a I'm sorry, again we need to get a user, and we should get an empty of user. Okay, now we do need scan our database. Now let's see again in our server we got a 3 1 2 1 2 3. And we do need to scan this by, I'm going to go back to my user model and going to scan db dot query select. For example, now I'm going to select first name, last name, email, password. Oh, actually, we don't need scan the password. Okay, so password is defined. We don't scan password. First name, last name, email, password, created as, updates as, and query. So query, it should be returned a two parameter. It should be a row and error. If error is not null, we are going to return null, an empty of user, and error. And otherwise, we need to one more thing, you do not forget this, differ raw.curve in Golang differ. This meaning it will handle and do other thing until got a return function, and then we'll do this job. This means we'll wait for anything done and until we got a return, and then we can get back and do this job. The job it will be do finally. But do not forget to do this row close when to free memory in Mysql. So this is very important. Do not forget it. Okay, so now we can for row just next. Now we're going to scan it. Var u equal an user object, and now we can go row arrow equal. We don't need a semicolon because the arrow is already defined this. So we directed row dot scan. Scan the first parameter is a user first name, and second parameter is the last name, and next email password created, and so on. U dot okay, so ID I forgot it. ID it should be we should scan to memory address, and U dot first name, again U dot last name, and U email, and U dot password, and U dot created at, and U dot update at. If errors equal not nil, if something happened, we return nil and error. Another way, we can appending this results equal append new user to a new results u. And how this happen? Because results are a list of memory address of user object, but we define a user is actually object, so we can do by and it should be fine. Now finally we return a list of user. Now let's get back to resolver and we verify something it get user. It's so working. And now I'm going to restart and now run. I hope everything will work. Okay, and now it's column ID and field. No ID in the field. So why we don't have ID? ID. Let's take a look at user. Okay, from user. I forget it. And we may have a. Okay, so now we can run it. Again, getting our user. Now, if I'm going to create a new user on 3 or 5, now create a new user. And again, we can releasing every user. Okay, so this is the tutorial how to connect to Go and MySQL, and we see you into the next tutorial, and we can deploy to Go with Docker to DigitalOcean. And see you tomorrow, and bye for now. Thank you for watching, and I hopefully you like and subscribe my video. Thank you.